Hello and welcome back to another week in new genre books. My name is Amelia and these videos are brought to you by Locus magazine, and I'm about to tell you the top new science fiction, fantasy, and horror books being published the week of September 26th, 2023. In science fiction we have 5 new books to talk about. From Emily Skrutsky we have The Salvation Gambit, out from Del Rey in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction adventure novel. A hot-headed hacker and her crew of con women are imprisoned in a sentient warship turned penal colony. Justice, the ship's AI, has styled itself into a punitive god, and this AI is watching over its small world stitched together from the galaxy's sinners, some fighting for survival, some struggling to build a civilized society, and some sacrificing everything to worship the ship. From Taylor Anderson we have Devil's Battle, out from Ace in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is an alternate world military science fiction novel, third in the Artillerymen series, set in the world of the Destroyermen series. After being stranded on a very different and super perilous Earth, Colonel Lewis Casey led his small army of Americans displaced from 1847 to defeat the Dominion and its depraved blood priests. Now more Dominion troops have been drawn from the west, and he and his force must make a stand against a larger, better trained army. From Kathleen Hannon we have The Confession of Hemingway Jones, out from Camcat Books in hardcover, trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult science fiction novel. Moments after a devastating car accident kills his father, 17-year-old Hemingway Jones takes his dad's body to Lifebank, the cryogenic preservation company where he interns. Hijacking the lab in a desperate attempt to reverse the natural order, Hemingway holds police and medics at bay as he works to revive his father. As dawn breaks, the heart monitor beeps. Days later, Hemingway arrives at the hospital to learn that his father's skin has turned ashen gray. He can't handle temperatures above 55 degrees, and hydrogen sulfide has become his only source of food. Facing arrest, Hemingway is offered a proposal by the billionaire owner of the lab: do it again, or go to prison, leaving his father to die a second time. From Megan E. O'Keefe we have The Fractured Dark, out from Orbit US in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a space opera science fiction novel, the second in the Devoured Worlds series. Naira and Tarkan need to find out the Mercator family secrets to learn the truth behind the blight killing habitable planets. But when the head of Mercator disappears, taking the universe's remaining supply of starship fuel with him, now that's a party foul, taking all of the universe's starship fuel. And now the ruling family's got to fight about it. From C. Pam Zhang we have Land of Milk and Honey, out from Riverhead in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a near-future science fiction novel. After a spreading smog causes many food crops to disappear, a chef leaves the city to take a job at a decadent mountaintop colony well stocked with rare ingredients. Her enigmatic employer has built a lush new life here for the global elite. In this atmosphere of hidden wonders and cool violence, the chef's boundaries start to change. Next up, horror, we have 5 titles. From Chuck Wendig we have Black River Orchard, out from Del Rey in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a horror novel. In the town of Harrow, there is an orchard with 7 trees that grow strange, beautiful apples with skin so red it's nearly black. After eating them, people transform, becoming stronger and more vital with peculiar dark gifts. Soon everyone in town is consumed by an obsession with the magic of the apples, but something else is buried in the orchard besides the seeds of these extraordinary trees. A bloody history whose roots reach back to the very origins of the town. From Nora Fussner we have The Invisible World, out from Vintage in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a horror novel. Frustrated artist Eve decides her house is haunted and keeping her from her work, and calls a TV show that does paranormal investigations. When the show's crew descends on Eve's home, the plan is just to film another staged spectacle, and then the real supernatural stuff starts happening. Shelves collapse, electronics go haywire, a cameraman disappears in the dead of night. Meanwhile, the show's teenage ghost hunter Caitlin starts to think she really is seeing the other side, and she wants to make contact, even if it means putting the investigation and herself in jeopardy. From Tomi Oye Makinde we have The Changing Man, out from Fywell and Friends in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult horror novel. Teen Ife Adebola, a new scholarship student at the prestigious boarding school in Nethercott, investigates a missing student and the old legend of the Changing Man. From Natasha Preston, we have The Haunting, out from Delacorte in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult horror novel. Penny's parents have forbidden her to have anything to do with her ex-boyfriend after his father was arrested for the brutal murder of 4 teenagers on Devil's Night last year. And if you don't know what Devil's Night is, it's a regional US thing where the night before Halloween people pull pranks and sometimes much worse. When Penny goes to the Halloween store, what she finds, instead of like clown wigs and sexy nurse costumes and candy corn, is a classmate bleeding out on the floor of the dressing room, stabbed. Penny knows this must be related to what happened last year. From Nabin Ruthnam, we have The Grimmer, out from ECW Press in trade paperback and ebook. This is a young adult supernatural horror thriller/mystery novel. After his father returns from treatment for addiction, high schooler Vish is uncertain what the future holds. It doesn't help that everyone seems to know about the family's troubles, and they're one of the only brown families in town. Then Vish is attacked by this weird pale man who seems to be decaying, who mistakes Vish for a relative of the weird local bookseller, and from there, Vish is pulled into the world of the occult. He must work with the bookstore owner and his mysterious employee to stop an interdimensional invasion that would destroy their town. Next up, fantasy, we have 10 titles. From Maggie Tokuda Hall, we have The Siren, The Song, and The Spy, out from Candlewick Press in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult fantasy novel sequel to The Mermaid, The Witch, and The Sea. The sea is losing more and more of herself. Her daughters continue to be brutally hunted, and the empire continues to expand through profits made from their blood. The threads of time, shifting loyalties, and blossoming identities converge as unlikely young allies work to forge a new and better world. From V.E. Schwab, we have The Fragile Threads of Power, out from Tor in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel, first in the Threads of Power trilogy, set in the same world as the Shades of Magic trilogy. Once, there were 4 worlds, each pulsing with fantastical power and connected by a single city, London. Until the magic grew too fast and forced the worlds to seal the doors between them. Time passed, and the magicians who could still open the doors grew scarce, and now only 3 Antari are known. Then a girl with an unusual magical ability comes into possession of a device that could change the fate of all 4 worlds. From Josiah Bancroft, we have The Hexologists, out from Orbit US in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel. The Hexologist is and Warren will be, aided by hexes and a bag of charmed relics, have recovered children abducted by chimney wraiths, removed infestations of barbed-nosed incubi, and ventured into the gray plains of the unmade to soothe a troubled ghost. Well acquainted with the weird, they never shy away from a challenging case. From Paige Crutcher, we have What Became of Magic, out from St. Martin's Griffin in trade paperback and ebook. This is a fantasy novel. Aline Weir, a witch who can talk to ghosts, has kept her talents hidden ever since a disastrous middle school slumber party, choosing to be invisible and use her powers in secret to help lost souls reunite with the keys to send them home. That is, until Aline discovers the Book of Mischief and her powers are enhanced. From Kim DeRose, we have For Girls Who Walk Through Fire, out from Union Square & Co. in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult fantasy novel and a debut. Every week, Elliot D'Angelo Brandt attends a support group for teen victims of sexual assault, but Elliot's done with talking. What she wants is justice. She found a spell book in her late mom's belongings that actually works. Elliot recruits fellow survivors who take a turn casting a hex against their unrepentant assailants. The girls find themselves leaning on each other in ways they never expected and find out that revenge has heavy implications. From actor and producer Omar Epps and writer Clarence A. Haynes, we have Nubia, The Reckoning, out from Delacorte in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult fantasy novel, the second in the Nubia series. 3 teens were among the first of a new generation of Nubians to awaken to extraordinary powers, gifts their parents lost when they fled their island home for New York City decades ago. But what should be a time of rebirth and celebration is one of turmoil. From Chloe Gong, we have Foul Heart Huntsman, out from McElderry in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult fantasy novel, second in the series begun in Foul Lady Fortune. In 1932 Shanghai, Rosalind Lang has suffered the worst possible fate for a national spy. She's been exposed. She needs to rescue Orion, but with her identity in the open, the task is near impossible. The only way to leave the city is under the guise of a national tour. It's easy to convince her superiors that the countryside needs unity more than ever, and who better than an immortal girl to stir pride and strength into the people. From Ariel Kaplan, we have The Pomegranate Gate, out from Erewhon in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel first in the Mirror Realm cycle trilogy inspired by Jewish folklore. After the Queen demands every Jew convert or face banishment, Toba and Naphtali are among the thousands of Jews that flee their homes. Defying royal orders to abandon all possessions, Toba keeps an amulet she must never take off. Naphtali smuggles a centuries-old book he's forbidden to read. But the Inquisition is hunting these particular treasures, and they're not hunting alone. From Rebecca Schaefer, we have Cage of Dreams, out from Clarion in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult dark fantasy novel and the sequel and conclusion to the City of Nightmares duology. Ness is forced to make a twisted deal with the Nightmare Phantom, and then there's a botched assassination attempt, and now the City of Newham is a total mess. From Adam Monsbach, we have The Golem of Brooklyn, out from One World in trade paperback and audio. This is a fantasy novel. A Brooklyn art teacher steals a large quantity of clay from his school, gets extremely stoned, and manages to bring a golem to life, despite knowing little about Judaism and even less about golems. A golem's sole purpose is to defend the Jewish people against the immediate threat of violence, and the golem, understandably, wants to know what crisis has prompted his recreation and who he's got to destroy. So Miri shows him a video of white nationalists marching. In anthologies and collections, we have two titles. From Jared Shurin, we have The Big Book of Cyberpunk, out from Vintage in trade paperback and ebook. This is an anthology of over 100 cyberpunk short stories from more than 25 countries. Includes authors Madeline Ashby, Maurice Brodus, Cory Doctorow, Ken Liu, Janelle Monáe, and Bruce Sterling. From Zoraida Córdova and Natalie C. Parker, we have Mermaids Never Drown, out from Fievel and Friends in hardcover and ebook. This is a young adult original fantasy anthology with 14 short stories about mermaids, the second book in the Untold Legends series. Authors include Darcy Littlebadger, Julie C. Dow, and Maggie Takuta Hall. That wraps up this week. Thanks for spending some time with us. At Locus, we work hard to try and tell you about everything we can get our little paws on that's happening in the science fiction fantasy horror publishing space. If you got something out of this, please like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that your phone will bother you at inopportune moments when we've put up another video. Your button pushing really helps us out with the YouTube algorithms. And if you were looking for your next video to watch so you can unwind because life is a lot, like way too much sometimes, okay, please consider checking out my other baby brand new YouTube channel, Misguided Meditations with Amelia. Yes, it's guided meditations. I know. Don't worry, it's not that kind of overly serious meditation track. I'm pedantic, not pious, and I think most New Age stuff is crushingly weird, but there's still something to the entirety of the unseen world that I think is worth exploring. Check out my newest track, which I call Emotion Farts. Locus Magazine and the Locus YouTube channel are a labor of love. We are at Locus Mag or at Locus Magazine on most platforms. You can read more about the science fiction, fantasy, and horror field over at www.locusmag.com or support us on our Patreon. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. Come back and see us again soon, and we'll be here next week with more new books.